when you're watching Jack Frost. Guys, this movie is probably one of those holiday classics that people don't talk about enough. It's one of those movies that kind of gets you in the holiday spirit without it actually like I mean, obviously it's a Christmas movie, don't get me wrong, but it's also just like a feel good winter movie. It's really a story about time, you know what I mean? It isn't about, you know what I'm saying? It isn't about you know how like some of these central Christmas movies is like the theme of it is always like I don't know. I guess maybe obviously it is a Christmas movie. What I'm trying to get at here is that it doesn't feel like a typical or a regular Christmas movie. It feels like a, you know what I mean? It feels like one of those kind of what's the right word? It's just a different perspective or a different take on what it means for Christmas, you know what I'm saying? And the premise of this movie is pretty crazy. So it has Michael Keaton in it, who's fantastic, by the way. I mean, he's really only in the movie for like him himself. He's really only in the movie for like, what, 15 minutes maybe? 20, you know, in like a full hour long movie. But in this movie, he plays Jack Frost, and he's like this, he's this singer. He's this musician who's trying to make it really big. Right? That's his thing. He's like, I'm a musician and I want to be a musician and I want to be like this amazing rock star and I have to be away from my family. So it's essentially one of those movies where it's like he's not using his time well. He's basically substituting his family for his work. You know, it's one of those movies, which, okay, maybe it's a little bit cliche, but for me, I thought it was you know, at the time when I first watched this movie, I thought it was a really good premise. So I remember I was watching it and time and time again, he's like, I'm going to show up for my son. His son's name's Charlie Frost. And he's like, you know what? My son has a hockey game. I'm going to go see his hockey game. He promises to his wife or whatever, and then he doesn't show up to the hockey game. So, because he had to record a new hit song. And then the next time he's like, you know what? I'm going to take the family. We're all going to go on a vacation. I'm really sorry I missed the game. But you know what? We're still going to spend time together. We're still a family. I love you. And then all of a sudden he's like, ooh, I have this last minute show I got to do. I can't take the family on the vacation like I wanted to. And so now he's not fulfilling on any of the promises. And then essentially he feels guilty. He's like, you know what? Darn, I should have spent time with my family. I chose wrong. You know what? I'm going to do the right thing here and I'm going to go back. And he borrows his friend's car, or like one of his musician's car or whatever. And he's like, okay, I'm going to borrow this car. I'm going to go pick up the family and we're going to go on that vacation, or we're going to go up the mountains or whatever he wanted to do. And dude, the scene in which, I don't know, he like, let me just say this, okay? The big premise of this movie is this guy has to become a snowman, okay? That's like that's the whole thing, is that this guy has to become a snowman. Now, I feel like in today's world, right, the right thing to do would be to kind of just like magically transform him into the snowman, right? But these guys, what do? They kill Michael Keaton, okay? Now that's a brilliant choice, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't give him any chance for, I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It hardly gives him the opportunity to be a father again, right? Like, there's no opportunity for him to really change. You know what I'm saying? It's like, or he does change, but it's not. You don't get to see him be a father anymore, right? Okay. Let me back up really quick. He goes to take his family on the trip like he promised. He takes his friend's car, and it's snowing like crazy, and then he crashes and he dies. And now his son gets depression. And the only thing he left his son is like this harmonica. And he told him, this is a magic harmonica. And every time you blow it, it's going to, I mean, crazy, huh? And he's like, every time you play the harmonica, you're going to, it's going to be magical, right? That's what he told him. And then surprise, surprise, a year later, his son has depression because his father's not around. And then he's just kind of like, man, I hate school. I hate my life. I don't even do hockey anymore. This sucks. And so he's like, I miss you, Dad. And then he plays the harmonica. And then boom, his father comes back to life in a snowman that his son built. So Charlie went outside and he made a snowman and he was putting it all together. And then finally, Jack, or Michael Keaton, comes back to life as a snowman. And he's like, whoa, I'm alive again. But he's a snowman. He's like, but I'm a snowman. You know what I mean? He's like crazy. So now he, let's just get back to the real nitty gritty of this, okay? He comes back and now he has to figure out how to talk to his son, or like tell him that he's a snowman now, right? Because that's not an easy conversation. That's pretty wild when you think about it. Like, if I were turned into a snowman, I would just immediately, I don't know. I think I'd be. How if somebody else turned into a snowman? I think I'd be pretty like, oh, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Talking snowman, they claim to be this person. Who am I to deny it? You know what I'm saying? Unless, of course, they're evil, but what evil mastermind wants to become a snowman? You know what I mean? Like, it would make more sense to be some sort of other, whatchamacallit, some sort of other evil thing, right? Not a snowman. That's, obviously fire is going to kill it. So, I don't know. Anyways, my point being, he has to try to talk to his son. He's like, how do I convince my son it's me? And so he's like, whoa, Charlie boy. And then his son is like, Dad, only my dad calls me Charlie boy. And then he's just like, yes, son, it is I. I have come back to life. And then now, it's like a secret between the two of them. They don't tell the mom or his wife, his widowed wife. They don't tell her because, you know what I'm saying? She probably wouldn't believe it. And, she might ruin the fun. The father-son bonding time, right? As soon as you get her into the picture, she's going to start asking all these questions. She won't believe it. So they have to keep it a secret just between the two of them. So now it's just a feel-good movie, you know what I'm saying? From then on, it's like, how do I reconnect with my son? How do I become a father again? And this is why I think it would probably be best if he just turned into a snowman instead of more or less dying, because when he dies, I feel like I feel really attached to him, and I feel like, man, I want him to still be a father to Charlie, you know what I mean? But I guess that's the point of it, right? Is that, like, you never know when it's going to be your last time together, and appreciate the time that you have now. You know what I'm saying? So it shouldn't be about, right? It shouldn't, I understand, his death and all that, but for me, I just kind of like it when it's like more of a happy ending, you know what I'm saying? It's happy, but at the same time, he's still dead. He can't come back. It's like it's roughly how I felt when I watched R.I.P.D. I've reviewed that movie on the channel, or I talked about it on the channel, on this podcast, and yeah, he's dead. So anything he does in the real world is like, you know what I mean? It feels a little tainted. It's like, man, I want him to come back to life because I want him to live. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe that's just a little bit like like a Disney mentality. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody gets a happy ending. Nobody really suffers or whatnot. But I don't know, dude. I felt like when I was watching the movie, I was like, man, I don't want Charlie to be, this, you know, I want him to have his dad. You know what I'm saying? I really felt for the kid. So then I was like, I mean, obviously he has there's like another guy who's like, I guess he's trying to get with the wife. I don't know. Or he's just like a family friend. And he's like just trying to help out, you know what I mean? After Michael Keaton died, after Jack Frost died. So, anyways, Michael Keaton is basically trying to get back into Charlie's life and tell him, hey, you don't have to quit stuff just because I died. You know what I mean? You should live your life. It's really a sweet story about like utilizing your time. You know what I'm saying? It's like just because sad things happen, you can't hold on to them forever. You know what I mean? Like you still have to be you, and you still have to choose to do the things that you love, right? So Charlie quit hockey after his dad died. So it was like, no, Charlie, don't quit that. Get back to it. Go try again. And then because he's a snowman, there are certain physical disadvantages for him because he can't like move all that well, and also he has to like he's gonna melt. So there are all these issues that come with being a snowman that we kind of, I mean, we know, but it's like, darn. So Charlie gets back into hockey, and Jack kind of promises him that I'm going to be there at the game for sure this time. And he's like having trouble getting to the game and whatnot. So essentially, at the last second, he makes it to the game and he gets to see him play. But as a result of him watching him, he's kind of melting. And so now they need the mom's help. And no. They try to get Jack. Charlie tries to get Jack somewhere cold, like up in the mountains somewhere. He tries to get him somewhere cold where he can live, and that way he doesn't die on Charlie because he still needs his father. This is such a beautiful story because it's like the son is trying to save his father because he needs his father, but it's really a story about grief and letting go. He can't let go of his father. That's why he was in such a depressed state, you know what I mean? And had Jack not come back to life in that, you know what I mean? As a snowman, he wouldn't have been able to let go in the same way. You know what I mean? Like that was just a little happy miracle that happened, that took place, so that way he could finally understand the meaning of like letting go and acceptance of death. You know what I'm saying? And it's a great little story for kids because then they see, oh, this kid's going through this really hard thing. I too can overcome that if that were to happen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the cool part of the story, I think. And I really liked the way that they delivered the theme. It was like, oh, death is normal, like how a snowman melts when the seasons change. You know what I'm saying? It's all pretty much normal. It's like anything else. You know what I'm saying? And the sooner we deal with the grief, and the sooner we learn to accept it and to kind of deal with it, the better we will be because of it. You know what I'm saying? I really thought that the movie was so heartwarming. It had a great message behind it. I thought that the kid, Charlie, played a really good, he did a really good job in this movie. Let's see, what else is there? I thought the mom was convincing enough. I mean, you know what I mean? She's just the mom. You know what I'm saying? They don't really give the mom much to work with, right? Like, obviously, she's surprised that, her husband's a snowman or whatnot, or that, like, he's back alive somehow. You know what I'm saying? So that there's some sort of surprise shock there. And then, obviously, early in the story, she's, like, trying to deal with her husband always leaving and stuff. So it's all about like what is her how could she be the best mom for her son, you know what I'm saying? And in that aspect, I'm not going to say she failed, but she can't do it alone, you know what I mean? She definitely needs the extra support, right? She definitely needs her husband in the same way that, you know, Charlie needs him. You know what I'm saying? So, in the end, I think what I really think about this movie, I try to imagine it like, what's the right word? Because his father died in the snow, it's kind of like a dream almost. You know what I mean? Like he plays his father's harmonica and then he goes into a dream where his father comes back and they're able to reunite and teach him new things, right? Like Charlie could easily go back to playing hockey on his own. You know what I mean? Doesn't even need his dad, because he genuinely loves it. It's really just trying to get the kid out of the hole he's in, which is like depression and dealing with it and learning about like, man, how do you overcome this grief? How do you become better? How do you deal with it? And everybody's different. So I want to say that he eventually like solves it, but he kind of doesn't. He doesn't. My biggest problem is that Michael Keaton is dead, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, people who die don't come back, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. There was something about it that just made me. I was like, does he really have to? And then at the end of the movie, right? So Charlie and Jack go to this cabin. They go to like this cold place, this cabin in the woods, if you will. And that's where Jack and Charlie go to keep Jack from dying, from melting. And then Jack calls his wife and he's like, hey, listen, pick up Charlie before he freezes to death. And she's like, oh no, she's like, Jack? And then she rushes over, she gets Charlie. And essentially, they do like a Star Wars moment where he pops out his ethereal body pops out, cracks out of this like snowman shell, and you see him in Star Wars mode and he looks at his family and he's like, he does like a smile and nod and whatnot. He's like, what's up guys? And, he tells them, I'll always be with you, Jack. And he's like, goodbye, my wife. And then he's like, goodbye, Charlie. I'll see you. And then he goes back to the afterlife, back to death. And that's really the full story. That's what bugs me the most is that like, come on. I wish just an ounce of him would stay alive. You know what I'm saying? But obviously it's in the people that he's loved and that he's affected throughout his life. You know what I'm saying? That's the real life. And he'll live on with Charlie and with his wife and I guess his music or whatever. But that's not what the movie's about. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I thought that the movie was really impactful, and I was like, I guess I was trying to find some hidden deeper meaning in it, but on the surface level, it's just father dies, turns into snowman, and then realizes how to be a good person. You know what I'm saying? Like if you really want to break it down, that's the story. You know what I mean? In its entirety. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to make it at least a little bit, you know what I mean? Have some sort of a special place in the story, you know what I mean? But actually, I kind of wish they did like a follow up to it because Michael Keaton's still around, and it would be kind of funny to see him like a grown up Charlie dealing with grief. Maybe the mom dies. Ooh. And then like it's a mother father team up or something. I don't know, dude. I just that okay, now that I say it out loud, that's pretty stupid. But you know what I mean? Like she dies and now she's a snowman and he's dealing with the grief of his mother. Ooh, that's a story. That's a story. Is it a good story? I mean, probably not. You know what I'm saying? It needs some work. I'll say that. The story needs a little bit of work. But because, you know what I mean? The Charlie actor is probably still out there doing stuff. And Michael Keaton's obviously still working. So, I mean, it's not impossible, right? Unless, of course nobody wants to do it, right? But whatever. Let's see, what else? Now that I think about it, like, imagine if they did that with Jack Frost. Imagine if they did it with the Easter Bunny or something. You know what I mean? Like, father dies, he gets turned into a bunny. Father dies, he gets turned into a bunny, and he's like, "My son, I am a bunny now." And he's like, "What, Dad?" And he's like, "Now I must lay eggs for Easter." But he's a bunny, so it's, I don't know, dude. I'm just. It's kind of wild that he gets turned into a snowman. You know what I mean? Like, really? But I get the story. You know what I mean? I know what they're going for here, but it's just kind of funny that, the guy gets turned into a snowman. Let's see. And you know what? And you know what would have been funny is if the wife was like hooking up with somebody and then he comes in as the snowman and like beats his ass. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be hilarious. Like he's like, "Get off of my wife." And she's like, "What?" Like, oh my gosh, that would be hilarious. He creates like, you know what I mean? He causes a huge scene or whatnot. Or maybe he does. I don't think he does in this movie, but anyways. I think in terms of like Frosty the Snowman type deal, right? Like that's what this whole thing is kind of. Whoa, Jack Frost is another thing, right? But they make him into a snowman, like Frosty the Snowman type of a deal. I don't know, dude. I wanted to say like they could. Is there something else that they could do with this? I'm just speaking out loud here, you know what I mean? That's what this whole podcast is. But what can they really do with this now that it's, I bet you now that I think about it, the CGI in this movie wasn't half bad. You know what I mean? Obviously, it needs a little bit of work, but for the time, what is this movie, 1990s? Yeah, I thought the CGI in this movie was pretty damn good. It wasn't like the craziest thing I've ever seen, you know what I mean? It wasn't like solid, 10 out of 10 animation or whatever, but the team were really putting in that work for this holiday movie. Let me think. I thought the music was quite nice. I think this was the first time I listened to, I was just a kid, and it was like one of the first times I listened to Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. That was that was beautiful. I remember the first time I listened to that song. I think it definitely was in this movie. And I was just like, this is such a beautiful song. And then I think in the next scene he dies, which is, or maybe they play it throughout the movie. I don't remember. But Jack Frost, what do I think about, I don't know, just a man becoming a snowman and realizing the importance of family and legacy. What does he leave behind? Who does he want to be? Who should he have been? all along. And as an adult, I think you come to appreciate, the little things a lot more, right? You stop worrying about your career and your job, and you start to appreciate all of the things that you're missing out on because you're focused on, in his case, being a singer, being the number one artist, being a top musician or an amazing rock band. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of focusing on all that, he should have appreciated, all of the other things he could do, right? But on the other hand, it is his dream. It's his career, you know what I'm saying? But at what cost, you know what I mean? He has no one to share it with, right? So that's really what it's all trying to point at here, is that you never know when it's gonna be up for you. So you gotta appreciate your life while you can, and the people in it. Who do you want in your life? And if you're not actively participating in their lives, then you're gonna basically have nothing. You know what I mean? You have to participate in the ones you love's life. There we go. I think I said that right the first time, but whatever. You know what I mean? So, in conclusion, Jack Frost, I think this is one of the most underrated Christmas movies. Is it the best Christmas movie? No. But it's definitely underrated. I think people don't talk about it enough. And I think they don't talk about it because it gets them all in the feels. It's a depressing movie. You know what I'm saying? It's a movie that's real. You know what I mean? It deals with real issues about depression and grief and how to overcome it and how to let go. I feel like if I were in their quote unquote shoes, I would want people to I wouldn't want to make my family depressed, my son, or have them miss out on their lives because I died and because I wasn't there to help them. You know what I mean? That's kind of I guess you could call that a fear if you want, but you never want to miss out on those important moments and helping to shape somebody who's so young and just, you're supposed to be there, That's the thing. I always want to be there for the people I love. And it's scary to think about, a potential where I didn't get to completely show or completely give all of myself to somebody because I was focused on myself too much. You know what I mean? And I guess when you're young or when you're getting older or whatever age you are, you kind of think that by focusing on yourself, you're doing a good thing. You're doing yourself a service, right? There's nothing wrong with focusing on yourself, but too much just on you and you alone, not giving enough to others or being there for other people kind of is a curse on yourself because you're not really being a part of anything. And when you go, you're going to be the only one that remembers you. Nobody else is going to be there to really remember you or to lift you up or take in all that you are. You know what I mean? That's why it's having a wife, even an ex-wife or a son or somebody, a friend or whoever, having them by your side is important because during that time you can kind of, what's it called? You can kind of, you have somebody to know who you are and what you're about and what does it really mean, you know what I mean, to know this person and you contributed something to other people's lives. You know what I mean? I think that's probably a great feeling, I contributed something to somebody's life, you know what I mean? No matter how small or inconsequential, I gave them kindness. I gave this person, joy, laughter, moments, You know what I'm saying? We had a bond together. We were friends. We're family. We're this, we're that, right? So that's the important part. That's the cool thing about all of it. Jack Frost, man, what a movie. And I just want to say that if you have somebody in your life that you feel like you're maybe neglecting or you're not giving enough time or attention to, there's no better time than the present to start. You know what I mean? And what a better time than the holidays, too. Because if there's one thing about Christmas and the season of joy and cheer, is that people are more willing to give you a second chance. You know what I mean? And no matter what you've done or what you missed out on, as long as those people love you and accept you, you'll always be given a second chance, you know? And you deserve it. So go watch Jack Frost, you know what I'm saying? Great movie, underrated movie, and I think it's is it a holiday classic? I don't think it's like up there with like Home Alone or How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but I do think that it deserves to be in the conversation for like, oh, Christmas movie? Like if you're like, oh, let's put on a Christmas movie. We already watched Home Alone and we already watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas. We watched Elf. We watched like all of the like big main popular ones. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what else is there? What else is there? It's like, oh, Jack Frost. That's you know what I mean? That should be like a number, I don't know, maybe top 10 pick. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I think it's a good movie and you should definitely go watch it. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.